right, it was a big weekend. CBS Saturday night, short track racing. You got to love it. Tony Stewart's SRX Series. We have Allen Bestwick with us from CBS. Allen, thanks so much for your patience. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you. Like the hat.
Thank you. So let's go back to Saturday night. This is a really cool series. Very popular last year. Comes back this year. Some familiar faces. Some other drivers that maybe we haven't heard of that are local to these tracks. But just overall, before we really dive into Saturday night, how cool is this series? It's you got big names, you got guys that have a lot to prove going at it. You've got IndyCar drivers driving stock cars on short tracks, so they probably have no clue. Well, Helio there, they had no clue he was going to drive it till about 24 hours prior. But just the diversity of the series and bringing out the talents of these drivers has been a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is a modern day reboot of the old IROC series, examining everything that hurt the old IROC series and eliminating it. So, the concept is still the same. Great drivers in equally prepared cars in a special program. The things that hurt IROC years ago were scheduling, trying to schedule currently active drivers, manufacturer and sponsor conflicts, and danger. Right? Racing at Daytona and Talladega and so on. So we race on short tracks. We get the spotlight short track racing, some of the great short tracks in the United States. We get all these great drivers in these purpose-built cars that are very safe, but they're not easy to drive. And we put a couple of local short track heroes in there and mix it all in. And it really, the thing that makes it the most fun to me, when you see the smiles on these drivers' faces, right? I mean, think about the pressure they're under normally with what they're doing. And they just come to these SRX races. They're happy to be there. They're having fun. And the smile factor is huge. And that's what makes it really resonate with me.
Well, I can hear it in your voice, the excitement. So let me go back a little ways here. When you get the call, maybe it was from Tony Stewart, and maybe it was from CBS, whoever that call came from. Allen, you're a guy. We want you to be in the booth. What were your thoughts? You've got all these big names probably in front of you, some tracks that a lot of people over the country really haven't heard of, but are awesome racetracks to watch a short track race on a Saturday night. When this call came, I imagine you were chomping at the bits to be able to take it and then get to that racetrack.
Well, my history with the concept goes back actually a couple of years before it ever became reality. Ray Evernham is a dear friend, known him for many, many years. And grabbed me one night at a function at the NASCAR Hall of Fame and put his arm around me and said, "Hey, I got this idea cooking. What do you think? And I'd really love for you to be part of it." Magic. The whole thing is just magic. And it's everything Ray said it would be and then some. CBS has been terrific. The volume of resources they give us to do these things is tremendous. All the CBS sports people who, work the Super Bowl and the Masters and the NCAA tournament, they're working on this too. And they jumped in and wrapped their arms around it and said, yeah, this is fun. Let's go do this. So all of it, from the beginning to the actual execution, has been everything I was told it would be, and then some.
Allen Bestwick with us. We're talking about the SRX. First race was on Saturday night. Helio Castroneves, your winner. We'll get into that as well. Paul Tracy always comes to mind. There's storylines going in here. You've got old rivals in Cup, old IndyCar rivals. How do you as a broadcaster, week in and week out, find these storylines and the ones that you're really going to hit on throughout that Saturday night broadcast? Because you've got a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss that needs to fit into a tight window.
And the key to that is you don't have to force it. The racing speaks for itself, first of all. I mean, how many laps did Helio and TK run side by side on Saturday night for the race lead? Well, you don't have to force a storyline there. That's easy. Two old buddies who've been racing since they were kids in Brazil, racing on a short track in Florida on a Saturday night, And the drivers they're all bought in. It's not hard to get their stories and to talk with them. And they make themselves readily available to us. And, so it's just a matter of letting the show flow. And all right, cameras on that car and driver. Well, chances are I got 30 things I could say about that car and driver, but what's the most important thing I could say right now that will interest you, or that's different, or that's new, or that you didn't already know? And that information is kind of easy to find out in this format. Then you just have to edit yourself and not force it.
Yeah, and you talked about not forcing things. When you talk to these drivers, whether it's race day or maybe heading into it, it seems to me that they're a little bit more relaxed. Like you said, it's not as cutthroat as maybe what they're going through with NASCAR and IndyCar and corporate sponsors. And this is just laid back, fun, old time short track Saturday night. Do you feed off that energy as a broadcaster, knowing like, hey, this is fun, we're here to have a great electric atmosphere, and these drivers, you can just feel it with them that they're just out here to have some fun. And it kind of just takes you back to when we were all kids, going to that local short track Saturday night, watching a driver that is trying to get from race to race, maybe trying to make it. We see it, I think, a lot in little league and college sports and even high school. It's for the love of racing is what it seems like for these drivers.
There you go. Right there. Well said. For the love of racing. First of all, right? You mentioned Paul Tracy. When PT signed on to do this, I said, why? And he told me, I retired before I was ready to, and I still love to race. And here's a chance for me to do it and have a lot of fun, right? Bingo. That's what it's about. And everyone is there without the pressure of a sponsor, without the pressure of a manufacturer, without anything else to do but strap into the car and have fun. Now, they're all competitive. They all want to win, but they're there to have fun. And that atmosphere I think personally, I've had this saying for a long time, right? People can't have fun watching television if you don't have fun making television. Learned that a long time ago. So I always try to have fun making television, not afraid to laugh at myself. The fact that these drivers are all having the kind of fun that they are just resonates through the television to the people watching. And I know it resonates to the people in the grandstand because of the noise they're making. So, when Helio climbed that fence Saturday night in Florida, the noise those people made, there were a fraction of them there. The place was full, but there were a fraction of them there as there were when he climbed the fence at Indianapolis a year ago. But the noise that they made proportionally was just as loud, if not louder.
Yeah, and it was a great race. You talk about fun and entertaining. You had Connor Daly next to you. We're all friends with Connor. Everybody loves Connor. You never know what he's going to say. I think you kind of learned that with the Greg Biffle car number. But working with Connor, a guy that just, what I say about Connor and IndyCar is a lot that what he brings to the table, not only as a driver, but he's an entertainer, and he has a lot of friends that he has learned from, whether in the DJ business or in the broadcasting business, to have fun and be yourself. You had to have a ball on Saturday night covering that race with him.
Yeah, Connor has a relationship with CBS going back to when he and Alexander Rossi did the Amazing Race, and they said to me that Connor's going to jump in for 3 races with this year. I said great, and when I first talked with him about it, I said the only rule, the one we were just talking about a minute ago, just have fun, and. Yep. He jumped in, had a great time. He jumped in one of the race cars on Saturday morning, got a few laps, so he understood what the drivers were facing that night. He knows all these people. He's got relationships with all of them, and we did. He did a great job. We had a lot of fun, and look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, and the schedule continues. Helio wins Saturday night. I love the format. As we know, you get 2 heat races. The tires became kind of the story. Can you save them for that 75 laps? And then you break that 75 down to about the last 15. Like you said, TK going at it. We saw Pollard, who most people probably tuning in had never heard of. Ernie Francis had some problems. But there was just so much battling, and nobody was really given room. Even early on when you thought, okay, maybe back off. Don't want to ruin these tires or get in anything. We saw Ernie go to a backup car, obviously. But just talk about how fun that race was on Saturday night. And then to see Helio, who was battling the heat. I mean, you guys did a great job of Willie T. Ribb standing down there with the temperature. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. And then the race itself was hella entertaining as well.
Yeah. Look, these cars, Ray Evernham, initials RE, right? He designed the car. He called it RE. He reverse engineered it. So when they go to test these cars, Ken Schrader and David Stremme are the 2 test drivers that set the cars all up. And before the first race a year ago, I was out at Raceway Park in Indianapolis when they were testing there that day, and Bobby Santos was there because he was going to be the local all-star at Raceway Park and get a chance. So they got him in the car, got him some laps, and he went out and made his first run, and he came in and he started talking like a race driver talks. Well, maybe if we did this and maybe if we did that. And Ken Schrader is kneeling down next to him at the window, and he said, we could do that if the object was to make you a couple of tenths faster. It's not. The object is to make it so that you do a couple of these and a couple of those, and with your feet, make the car better for you. And Bobby's like, you could see the eyes get big. He said, I got it. I got it. And so that's what it is. Tire management, that's all controlled by the driver Saturday. This is what you got. How are you going to make it last?
You got South Boston coming up this Saturday. That's going to be a great race. Stafford, Nashville, I-55, and Sharon Speedway. Talk about some of these tracks that are, to the locals there, what they do every Saturday night, but to maybe people that aren't following these short tracks, they're all difficult, and you're not just going out there and it's, oh, well, we could take what we learned last week. No, it's pretty much hit the reset button when you go out to these tracks.
Yeah, and part of the whole design of the series was to spotlight some of the iconic short tracks of America. Bill Elliott said to me Saturday, he said, the race at Nashville a year ago with a full sold-out grandstand and him getting a chance to race his son, and he said, the energy and the atmosphere of that race was unlike anything I felt in my career. Now think about that. That's Bill Elliott, NASCAR Hall of Famer, saying that atmosphere was unlike anything I felt in my career. Well, that's what happens. Saturday night, people in the Florida Panhandle that go to watch the super late models and so on race at Five Flag Speedway had 3 Indianapolis 500 winners, 3 Daytona 500 winners, 3 NASCAR Cup champions, 3 IndyCar champions, and a couple others racing on their short track on a Saturday night. You just, it's for the local people, it's a super extra special event to have that at their home track. And for the racers, it's testing themselves by trying something new. Think about if you're, we'll use Helio Castroneves. You're 47 years old. You've won the Indianapolis 500 4 times. You've won the Rolex 24 at Daytona. You've been racing open wheel cars at the highest level for a long time. You've done all of these things. And until last summer, he had never driven on a dirt track. And he jumped in there and he gave it a go. And he came out with the biggest smile on his face and said, that was so much fun. Well, when he climbed out of that car Saturday night, do you think he was happy at, even winning a Saturday night exhibition on a short track in 130-degree temperatures in South Florida? It was fun for these guys to go new places and try new things.
Yeah, and this would have never happened without the SRX series, as we know, and I think it's good that these drivers can show off their skills, because we always talk about, oh, could this driver go to NASCAR and run if he's an IndyCar driver? And oh, well, what about this IndyCar driver went to NASCAR and didn't have the success? But you brought up the IROC series, and it just showcases that a driver's a driver, and if you get him going inside of a race car, he's going to figure it out. I think we've learned that with the IndyCar guys. I know Ernie Francis Jr. ran really well last year. Let me put you on the spot. Allen Bestwick, I say 2023, I'm going to give you one driver that you can pick to race in this series and one track that the SRX is going to go to. Who are you taking, and what track are we going to?
Oh, boy. One driver and one track. Well, I would love to see the series go to race at Ken Squire's track in Vermont. Thunder Road Speedway, a little quarter-mile, high-banked. They put 8,000 people in there every Thursday night all summer to watch races. I think that would be a spectacular show. One driver, somebody from Formula One. Well, somebody from Formula One. And I know there have been some conversations that haven't come to fruition yet because of different reasons. Mark Webber was supposed to race with us last year, but with the no travel allowed in and out of Australia, he couldn't leave home. If he did to come race with us, he couldn't get back in. So, we'll see. But just someone from Formula One to join the crowd, and they'll have a blast.
Yeah, I think they would too. And, you talk about taking it globally, that would certainly Do it. All right, let's go back real quick. Month of May. Besides having to sit next to Dave Calabro, and his hairspray, which I know can be tough at times, Marcus Ericsson wins the 500. We saw some new things with the qualifying format for the Indianapolis 500. You're there every day as the PA voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Some of your takeaways from the month, and a driver in Marcus Ericsson that if you've followed IndyCar, you know that he's talented and can win races. But now the world knows that Marcus Ericsson is a world-class talent. And is not only just a pay driver or a road course winner, he's now an Indianapolis 500 winner.
Well, and it's a funny thing because as the week of practice began for the 500, probably each of the first 3 days of practice, we brought up Marcus Ericsson as someone who had great pace, who had, all of the Ganassi cars obviously were very strong, but Dave and I pointed out a couple different times, and hey, don't sleep on Marcus Ericsson on Sunday because he has been strong every single day in any weather conditions, in any circumstance. So it was really great to see. The fact that IndyCar has done so many things to adapt, to adjust, to deal with circumstances that they've been dealt or circumstances they would like to bring about. All credit to Jay Fry and his whole group at IndyCar. The Speedway itself, Roger Penske, and all that he's put into it, to see that pay off in that huge crowd and a great race day was just a lot of fun. And I get one of the best seats in the house to watch all that fun unfold.
Allen Bestwick with us, burnoutsports.com. Biggest difference between going from being the color guy on TV to being PA. There's different information that needs to be given out. There's some things that works on TV that may not work on the PA. What's been your biggest adjustment to that? Because that could be a pretty tough adjustment at times.
Well, it's I've been doing this for a long time now. So, understanding the audience and its needs is part of the craft of what we do. So, whether it's radio, whether it's television, whether you're doing the Indy 500 at the Speedway, or you're calling a basketball game up at Butler or someplace else, understanding the audience and its needs and adapting to that is part of what we do. And, you put some thought into that, and then you try and do your best to make sure that you apply that thought in what you're doing. And, the Speedway, it's a magical place, man. And it's just enjoying the magic and translating that magic to someone who's been there for 35 straight years or someone who's there for the first time. That's all part of it.
Last thing before we let you go, and we appreciate your time here. You've had some pretty damn awesome calls. You've been on video games. I have two in my head. I think they're probably going to be the two that you say, but when you think about maybe your top three best, greatest, most influential calls of a moment, what comes to mind in your career?
Yeah, I'm not really good at this because I'm a very forward-looking person. So when yesterday's show is over, I'm already focused on the next show and then the show after that. I'll just give you an example. Somebody posted a clip on Twitter last night about the Cup race in Charlotte in October of, I don't even remember the year now, October 2001, when the president came on the television and declared that we were in a state of war and we changed networks and we did all this. I didn't even remember it, didn't even remember that it had happened. What people talk to me mostly about, obviously, is the Dale Jr. win at Daytona, July 2001, first race back there after his dad passed away. And that was certainly an iconic moment for many, many people. I just happened to be the one that was lucky enough to be holding the microphone that night. Indianapolis, any of them, but certainly the Hunter Ray and Castroneves race at 2014. So much fun and really phenomenal. I've had trying to find the right word, but I'll use magical. I've had a magical run through this business and this sport, and so many things. Look, I've done Wimbledon. How do you not, pick something from that? Or I did the British Open at St. Andrews. Okay, wait a minute, really? At the picture of the Swilcan Bridge, or me standing on the Swilcan Bridge. So there's so many things that rattle around in my head when you start reflecting back on the 40-year journey that it's been through this business. I have no way of explaining it. Too many highlights get cluttered up in my head, and best of all, I'm not done yet, and we just keep looking for what's next.
Well, what's next comes up Saturday night as SRX continues on CBS. We can't wait for that. Thanks so much for your time here in Burnout Sports, Allen. And we'll see you, I believe, next month back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for that IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader, and hopefully some more great moments out of your mouth there at the Speedway.
That'll be fun. I look forward to it and appreciate your time.